to another week of the Fertility Freak podcast. My name is Michelle Tillman, and today I have an extraordinary woman who is going to tell her story, and I'm so excited that we get to talk. I've got to meet her in person, which is pretty cool. I don't always get to meet all of my clients in person, but I was able to make her baby shower last year, or was it earlier this year? Earlier this year. So I'm so excited for her to tell us a little bit more about her story. Aaliyah, thank you again, like I said earlier, for making the time out with the new baby, because I know that is a whole lot. There's so many things that are going through a new mom's brain. And so I just have a few questions that I want to talk up through so the audience can kind of understand your story, and that you could give the ladies some hope who may be in a similar situation. So tell us a little bit about yourself. Share what your life was like before, while you were trying to get pregnant, before we started working together, dealing with PCOS, and anything else you might have been dealing with. Tell us a little bit more about that.
Name is Aaliyah. I turned 29 this year. With PCOS, at least for me, it was affecting my periods. So I wouldn't get them every month. I would get honestly it would skip several months. And so in the past what it led to was me getting an ovarian cyst rupture,
Mhm.
which is incredibly painful, and I wouldn't want any woman to go through that because it's not fun. Um it happened to me twice. So I got put on birth control to make my periods regular so that that wouldn't happen again. Um and so I was on birth control for um good good couple of years, probably more than 10 years. And I'm not someone who likes to take the pill. I was definitely not gonna take a shot. So I kind of transitioned to a few different between the pill, and then I switched to the ring, and then eventually I just wanted to be off of it because I wanted to start a family with my husband. And um and so getting off of birth control from, being super irregular to being back regular, getting off of it, kind of, it started like going back to being irregular. So, the struggle was to try to get it a little bit more regular, natural, and then, trying to time ovulation. And then back in, I think December 2022, had my first chemical pregnancy. Um, this was without us like trying, but like not like we weren't trying, but we weren't preventing. So that happened. And then it was kind of just, been a struggle ever since, um, trying to
So,
get pregnant.
okay. So first, I'm so sorry to hear about the loss that you experienced. So it sounds like you were on birth control for a little while, several years, to try to get your period to be regulated. Um, and then after that, you got off of it so that you could try to let it regulate naturally. But it sounds like it didn't ever fully regulate naturally after that. And then you experienced your loss. So, how long had you been? So, when you weren't having your regular period, like, were you just hoping that you were getting the right window, or what were you doing to try to get pregnant while your period wasn't regular?
Um, at the time of the, chemical pregnancy, honestly, was just, well, I was working with my doctor to try to, like, regulate my period, with, what is it, progesterone,
Mhm.
um, and, like, metformin. I was on metformin and progesterone. Um, but I hate pills, so trying to take them correctly I wasn't always like doing that. But I wasn't like besides from that, I wasn't really doing much. After the chemical pregnancy and after you know after the chemical pregnancy is when we were like, okay, well, let's like actually like try to, have a baby. And so that's kind of when I started I got an appointment with my OB and started like doing tests and um I had I think I saw about, like, inositol, helping with PCOS and, like, insulin resistance 'cause that's what my problem was. So I started trying the, Ovasitol and using that to, help with my, PCOS and was using ovulation strips to track. And I was using the Easy at Home and Premom to kind of track when my ovulation was, and then going from there.
Gotcha, okay. So, you are deciding, okay, you experienced a loss, and that just kinda triggered something inside of you, like, "You know what? Let's be intentional, let's try to get pregnant," and so you start taking some, I always say it wrong, Ovasitol. I
Yeah.
think I'm saying it right. Ovasitol, and then also using progesterone. So, then what shifts you to decide, "Okay, I wanna hire a fertility coach," like, what triggers that? Because 'Cause I'm sure you're, like, Googling and looking up stuff, like, how does that work for how did that happen for you?
So yeah, I was looking up stuff. For fun, before I found you, there was another person, I don't remember her name, who had a program about basically like managing PCOS and like um doing like the meal plan to like lose weight and that will like contribute to like having a baby and all of that stuff. And I had met with her and did a consultant, and then I decided, okay, I'm not gonna do that. And then I found you on TikTok, and um, and then you like did the presentation, and then I like one thing that like drew me in was like the faith base because like I'm a Christian, and I do believe you know, um, in God and Him honoring like the works of our hands and, just things of that nature. And so when I saw your presentation, I just decided, okay, well, I'm just gonna have a little bit of faith and try it and see how that goes.
That's awesome. That's encouraging to hear that, faith is what draws so many people in to, connect with me, and so I'm so happy that we were able to connect. So ultimately, okay, you have your baby, so everyone, yes, she got pregnant, she had the baby. So which is a huge thing, this is amazing. So you did end up using letrozole, and I know your doctor had started you on that before. So tell us a little bit about, letrozole, your experience with that, how many times you have to take it, and then the time that it worked, what do you think made it different?
Yes. So um I did letrozole Um, the first time, um, back in, like, December of, we're in
23?
2025. Yeah, 2023. And so, before doing that, I had to, go through the, HCG procedure. Um, and the first time that I did that procedure, it was horrible. I
Oh
just
gosh.
I'm very, like, low tolerance to pain, so, like, the whole thing was just yeah, it was bad. And then I had, like, cramping for, like, a few days, but, like, nothing was wrong, it was clear, so my, doctor prescribed me with letrozole to try that, and then, you take it for, 5 days, I think. I had to start it on day 3, um, af after my period, day 3 to or was it on my period? Gosh. It
It's fine. You had to take it.
yeah,
So
so it's, like, day 3 to, like, day, like, um, 4, 5, 6, 7, like, day 3 to 7 or they have, like, fixed schedules, so
okay.
if you're doing it day 2, I think it's, like, from day 2 to day, like, 6 or, like, day 3 to day 7, depending on how the doctor, does it, it will, like, vary the day.
Gotcha.
So you take it consistently, 1 per, like, day per night, and then afterwards, you will, test and see when your, like, levels start to rise. Basically, it will force ovulation. So you can time everything not correctly, but, like, time it accurately.
Right.
And so, we used it in 2023. And then in December, I th that's when, I was tracking everything, and, it seemed like at first, it seemed like, um, I was on a verge of getting a positive. At least I saw, like, the lines, and they were very faint, um and they didn't get, like, super dark. I even, like, showed my husband, and he had, seen the lines. But then, they started getting lighter, and then my period started, um, and I had gotten 2, blood tests to, because they wanted to see, like, my HGC levels. So when I went in, this was after, like, the lines were starting to go back, um, go back down. It was at a 3, and then the second time they did it to see, like, what it would do, it went, to 0. So, um, at that point, it was like, okay, well, that didn't work. And I just remember feeling, like, so devastated because I thought that, it would have worked, and, you know, it was that time. And I almost kind of just threw in the towel because
Mhm.
I was real devastated um over it. And I just didn't yeah, it just left me kinda just feeling hopeless a little bit, and,
And was that your first time you had tried it that time, or was
yeah,
it multiple? Okay.
that was the first time that I tried it, um, and so, um, yeah, I just, like, okay, it just, like, why it felt like, why was my body not doing what it's supposed to, you
Mhm.
know, and so I took December off. Well, not December, sorry. I took January off. I just, like, stopped, like, tracking and just, like, stopped. In February, my aunt husband had died, so I ended up going to the Virgin Islands and being there with her for, quite a while, actually, because there was just some family issue going on, and so, trying to, like, organize a funeral was kinda hard with, like, the drama that was going. So,
Mm,
I had a one-way ticket there, and I didn't really know when I was coming back. So,
mm,
I stayed for a while 'cause I wanted to be there for my aunt, and, it was nice, it was refreshing, and I worked from home, so I was able to just work while I was down there. And, after the funeral was said and it happened, I, came back up, and I remember being on, like, one of the calls, with, like, the group and just, like, sharing about, like, where I was at, where I was feeling and, like, being encouraged. And I think it was on that call, I remember you saying, like, there was gonna be, like, no more broken promises, like, that I'm next. I don't remember the full message, but that was, like, the gist of it. And so after that, I'm like, "Okay, well, I'm not gonna quit, and I'm going to, basically continue." So, after that round, after the failed round, my OB referred me to a fertility clinic. So, the next step was, I had gotten scheduled with a clinic and to start, the process and going through, what our options would be. Um, and so at that time, this was all around March. I had to do a second HSG, sorry, not HCG, HSG test. And that one was a bit more manageable. It's still, pain. It was still painful, but it was a bit more manageable. And I think what had happened? It was still clear, but um my tubes was closed. So it opened my tubes.
mm,
Or like, yeah, it opened my cervix. And during the month of March, because one of the big things that I struggled with, while working with you was eating properly. I like I like my
man,
McDonald's.
oh, man, woof.
I like my McDonald's, and I live like 5 minutes away, so you know why I was going to McDonald's a lot. Um, but, literally that month, I was, working with my bestie, and she wanted me to do I think it was like a no sweets, and, like, no carbs kinda challenge, and, like, we hold each other accountable. So basically, like, every Saturday, me and her would hop on a call and we would plan our, like, meals for the week. So I'd write down, what I would wanna make and, like, what I need to buy, and she'd write down, and, like, we'll tell each other. I'm pretty much just, like, keeping each other accountable for that, month. And that honestly, like, helped me a lot, just meal prepping ahead of time so I have stuff to eat. I don't like cooking when I'm hungry. I just want, like, when I'm hungry, like, I just want something. So, like, it's like,
Right.
okay, let me just go get fast food or something. So that definitely, like, eliminated it. And then, during that time, that's when I went through the second time of taking letrozole. And, um, there was, um, honestly, like, I kind of maybe went a little bit off script because they didn't really, like, tell me to, like, when to take it, but I was like, I already had it. I already had this position, and I'm like, I'm just gonna do it because, like, I don't know what they're doing, and I have it there, so I'm just gonna, like, do it. And, so I think I might have did, like, day 3 to day 7 or something like that, and, like, started, like, tracking, um, using, like, the BBT, tracking with my ovulation strips, and, I think I did, like, the clear blue, the little, like, digital, like, smiley face as well. Oh, I also used, a little device called Mira. So, I mean, it can be helpful. It basically tells you it's a little device. You still have to, like, pee in a cup and, like, dip the sticks, and it'll give you numbers of, what your, uh, pee, like, progesterone, uh, LH, it reads estrogen, depending on, like, what, like, wand you get, but it's the p value, so just keep in mind that it's not necessarily
Right, not the
accurate
blood.
to your blood, yeah.
Yeah.
But, it's more so like you wanna look at the chart and not necessarily the numbers because you can tell, okay, when you're close to ovulating with that. So, I use that as well. And, like, all of that helped me. I also did because I remember, you talking about, like, tithing. Tithing is important, and I know it's important, and I don't really tithe because, like, I'm just trying to get my finances right. But I was in church one day, and I decided, okay, well, I'm just gonna, like, put $1 because that's literally all I had. I didn't have too much. Like, I'm just gonna, like, uh send $1. And I mean, uh, I wanna say it contributed. I think there was a multitude of things. I also did, like, a forgiveness challenge on my own because I have, I'm still working through it because I know of, forgiveness is a process, and I did kind of like my own, forgiveness, challenge to a old boss who kinda did me wrong, and I sent him money on Cash App because I still had his Cash App.
I remember that, we talked about it, yes.
And nothing, I mean, I don't know if anything came of it from him because he never, like, responded, but it was just something that I felt to do to, just, clearing and letting go of, like, animosity that I held towards him. And I think it was just like $10 or something that I sent towards him, as well. So yeah, the month of March, it was just accumulation of just many different changes happening. And then that cycle of the letrozole worked.
Yes. Okay, so you said a whole lot. So I hope everyone is hearing what she said. Sometimes you don't know what is it's not always just like one thing. Like I did this one thing and that's the thing that got me pregnant. It's a combination and this is why I always say my goal is to help you to be in optimal condition so that pregnancy can occur. So, some of the things I remember you were posting your food regularly, and that's something that we have in the community, like a place for you to post what you're eating. I saw you post food like you had never posted. Well, you might have posted, but it might have been McDonald's, like you said. But you really committed because I remember when you were saying that, "Okay, I'm gonna do another cycle of letrozole," and I said, "Hey, let's do not waste this cycle. This time, make sure you're eating right." We talked, like you said about forgiveness. I always recommend, and some people don't like this and they don't do this part, but this is why I think this is what it's a part of being in the right posture to receive your miracle. Some people don't like when I say, "Sow into someone who did you wrong." They're like, "What? Why we gotta do that? Like, that don't make no sense. I ain't doing that part." And people skip that forgiveness part. Right. And so, and then I don't remember the exact words, but I do remember speaking life into you and like Holy Spirit just telling me, like, okay, she's getting ready to be the next. There's some things she got to settle, some things she got to clear out, and God is getting ready to open the door. And so it's always, amazing to see how God can speak through us and then to see the miracle on the other side. So you are changing how you eat, you are changing your spirit, man, like with forgiveness, releasing old past things. And you had a lot going on with your family. In addition to all this happening, I think that it's really important just to recognize what you said, all the different things that which can feel very overwhelming to feel like, "I gotta do this, I gotta do that," and it just gets, like, frustrating and how you almost, wanted to give up after that first round. And so I'm so happy that you didn't. I'm so happy that you did not just say, okay, forget it, but really like allow that to shift your focus for you to really hone in because I think that really does make a difference. So you kind of already talked about my next question was about the habits that you made. You talked about having your friend who also held you accountable where y'all did the meal prep so you don't have to think about food. I think food is a really big thing because you can't avoid it. Like, you
Yeah.
gotta choose what you're eating every day. It's not like you could just say, "Oh, well, Imma just we won't worry about food this week." No, you gotta worry about it, especially those with PCOS. So I will just say for those who are listening who have PCOS, when you have the insulin issue, like, what you eat makes a huge, huge difference, in
Yeah.
how your body responds to anything. And so even for you, it sounds like, from what I remember and what you just said, it was only like maybe a month of you changing how you ate for it to really shift everything. Um,
Yeah.
and so it sounds like you also had mindset changes of like, I'm gonna release stuff from people who I used to work with. So that really makes a huge difference in just your perspective. So based on what you experienced, okay, so this was, a few years in the making, and then you're in your 20s. Some people, I don't know if they heard you say that at the beginning, you're in your 20s. So some people, doctors may have tried to brush you off and say, "Oh, don't worry about it. You got time. You're young." Um, and then also when the first letrozole didn't work, they're already sending you to the fertility clinic. As I was so mad about that. I remember I was like, "Why are they sending you to the fertility? You only tried once. Like what?" That made me so mad. But anywho, to God be the glory. It ended up working out. But sometimes people get frustrated in that, especially if they're younger and they feel like you said, my body's failing me. What is happening? So, what would you say to the woman who is listening, who's like, I feel that way. I feel like my body's failing me. I'm dealing with PCOS. I've had a chemical or whatever they may I have stress going on in my life. What would you say to that woman to give advice to her when she feels like, okay, you know what? I give up. What would you say to that woman?
Um, I would say to don't give up because you don't know when your blessing is gonna be, and it could literally be right around the corner. To surround yourself, if you're at that point where you feel like giving up, surround yourself for people who are going to uplift you and pour into you and keep you encouraged, because honestly, like that's what's needed. Like, this journey is already so hard, and it doesn't matter like the age you are, or like, e- everybody struggles in different ways, and so it's a hard journey to go through, and you might be around people who get pregnant easy or have multiple kids, and you might be stuck in this not knowing whether or not you'll be able to have kids because of like your condition or like circumstance or stuff like that. So just continue to have people to encourage you, have people that you can talk to about like what you're feeling, who will be able to tell you, okay, hey sis, like hold your head up, or like, hey sis, let's do this together, to help you be accountable if you really wanting to do a goal and like do it specifically. Community is just super, super important in this journey. Like, you can't do it alone.
That's so good. I couldn't agree more. Community, community, community. It sounds like you had a village. And so some of the misconceptions is people feel like, well, if I'm already working with my doctor and I have my friends holding me accountable, like, do I need a coach in addition to these things that I'm already doing? And it sounds like you had your team and your community and your village and used, what you needed from each person. Just because, you have your doctor helping you with something, it doesn't mean that you still can't use that additional faith-based support. It doesn't mean that you can't pull your friends in and say, hey, I have trouble with my food. What can we do to hold? What can we do? Can you please hold? It doesn't mean you can't pull all of the listen, I'm talking when I say pull out all the stops because at the end of the day, you don't want to ever look back and say, well, dang, what if I would have done everything? What if I woulda changed my food for those few weeks? What if I woulda asked my friend, "Let's meal prep together?" What if I woulda tried the letrozole? 'Cause some people even don't even wanna do that. They're like, "Oh, I don't even wanna have to do I don't wanna take anything," and you said you don't like taking medication. I feel you, I don't either, but at the same time, if this one thing can shift and now you literally have your miracle, beautiful baby girl, like, open your mind to see what God is asking and looking for you to do, and so, I'm so excited that you got to see the other side because there's women who are still in the waiting. And so, just as we close out, tell me, like, what is your life like now? I know everything ain't always roses and flowers and berries, but how does it feel now? Like you're a mom, you're a mother. How is it for you and your husband? And what are you what yeah, just tell me about that. What are you excited about? How's it now being a mom? What are some of the things you're navigating?
Um, so before I go into that, can I add one part about like what I did? Because I just remembered something which is something that you have us do, which was like going to find our allergens or doing like the allergen testing. Because
Mhm.
that's what I used to change like the food. So I was very intentional in the food that I was eating based on like the testing.
Mhm.
So I stayed away from chicken. Instead of chicken, I was eating like turkey, and I think I also stayed away from like ground beef. So I altered like the meats that I was eating and just kind of tailoring it to just staying away from everything that was on the list or what I might be allergic to. That was helpful in meal prepping for me.
That's good. That's a really good point because some people just eat stuff that they think, "Oh, well, this is healthy. It's healthy. Why would I not be able to eat my chicken or why would I not be able to eat my ground beef? Like these are good nutritious things." But knowing what your specific body is telling you is totally different from what's considered healthy like overall for everyone. So thank you for making that specific point.
Yeah. And so yeah, what my life is like now, honestly is it's chaotic. Still getting down just rhythms and things like that. So I work from home, and so she is with me all day too, and now she's crawling, and so there are joys to like, yay, she's crawling, but also like, oh no, she's crawling. She's getting
Right.
into everything.
Lock everything down.
So it's honestly just it's been pretty chaotic, but I even through the bad days and the days that I just want to scream my head off because it can be overwhelming. I like look at her and I'm like, "Oh my gosh, she's just the most beautiful baby ever." And I'm like, I just can't believe like I made this tiny human and she just is just so awesome, and like her smile melts your heart. It's yeah. So it's like it's good and it's bad. It definitely has its ups and downs. And Adam, he's absolutely over the moon. I mean, he wants another one just because of how she is, and I'm just like, no, calm down.
We'll
Let's
get there.
focus
We'll
on
get
one
there.
at a time. But she is, I mean, she's pretty amazing. She's very smart, and obviously you can't compare like every baby, um, but she is honestly pretty awesome as a baby. Still, there's still a lot of different struggles, but compared to like, I don't know, I guess some of the horror stories, like
Right.
she is a very much a very tame baby, and like when she has her bad days, it's just because of like there's something that's like off. And
Right.
trying to figure it out is the hardest part sometimes because like her crying honestly does get to me because it's like just so I mean crying I'm pretty sure it can get to anyone,
Right.
but it's been so far it's just been up and down, and I've personally went I'm pretty sure I'm still going through postpartum depression.
Mm.
So it's been a little rougher on me, just emotionally and trying to be able to be present and be here, um, for her. It's been hard and it is getting better, but I do know that I think I'm still in the midst of it because there are days when I'm just like, if I can run away or if I can, not be here anymore. So it's yeah, it was bad. It was very, very, very bad in the beginning, but it is better now, just still there, still managing and navigating the depression with her. Um so that's
Well, look.
yeah.
No, I listen, that is a real thing, and so I know we spoke about it before, but, I'm glad that it's getting better. Continue getting the help that you're getting. Hopefully you've spoken with someone. That's really important because well, first of all, let me just tell you this. People who work at home and take care of the baby, that's superwoman, because people don't realize what that's like. You still have to do your job, and you still have to care. That's not we're not even designed to do that, to be able to do both, so the fact that you're doing it and I'm speaking as someone who did it too. I dealt with postpartum anxiety really bad, after Gracie, so I know exactly, what you're talking about. You feel like, "Oh my gosh, what did I do? I wasn't ready. I didn't plan this out right." Like, you start thinking about all the things you shoulda did and how it could be different, and then don't even throw, like, if you're breastfeeding on top of that, that's a whole 'nother thing, or if you're not breastfeeding, if you gotta buy formula, that's a whole expensive thing, $400 a month sometimes. So there's so many dynamics to that. So I just want to reassure you and also anyone who's listening, when you start having those feelings, that is totally normal because also it's not even just your hormones, because that's the key to it is the hormones ups and downs after you've had a baby. Like sometimes it takes months, years for you to feel like yourself again. And then 2, the way that you're having to care for your child while you're working is a whole 'nother level of stress on top of normal regular baby stress. And then I have a baby and I'm working from home. That's like a whole 'nother level that some people just don't understand because their kids go to daycare at 6 weeks. So no shade
Yeah.
to them. No shade to them. But when your baby goes to daycare at 6 weeks, you have no clue what it's like to be with your baby all day, every day. That's totally different. And trying to work.
Yeah.
So that's a whole different so that's what I'm saying. Superwoman, don't give yourself the credit because you're doing something that some women who have babies never have had to do. They have been able to pass their babies off early. And that's not the same as when you're with your baby all day, every day, and you're all touched out, but you're so happy that you had the baby. So it's like a mixed emotion, like, oh, well, I shouldn't feel this way because I pray for this baby. And so it's that dynamic. You feel guilty for feeling like this, but at the same time, it's your reality. And so for every woman who's in the wait, and when you get on the other side, don't beat yourself up because you pray for your baby and you still feel like this stress feeling, because that is totally normal, specifically those who are in like the case of Aaliyah and how I was when we still had to work while we have our babies all day. And that is totally different than you have a nanny or like, I mean, it's nothing, again, that's a blessing if you can hire a nanny and you can have somebody in. Cause listen, next baby, we gonna figure it out. We gonna need some help. But yeah, so I just wanted to give you that, hats off to you for that, because that's a huge deal. That's not the same as other people who experience, their kids. So thank you for sharing that, and I think that's a reality that every woman in the wait needs to hear. And then also, just seeing how many months you said she's crawling. How many months is she now?
9.
9 months. Oh my goodness. So yeah, you got a few more months before it's really about to get turned
Honestly,
up
yeah,
with you.
She's
But
up ready.
she's walking, so, thank you so much for sharing your testimony and your story. I know there are women who are like, "Okay, I have PCOS too, like, what should I be doing? How can I change?" And it sounds like, specifically with PCOS, I always say your food is so important, your emotional status is important, your sleep is important, because all of those things affect your hormones. Like, you had some time in a different place where it's warm and it feel like, and you got to handle, even though it was a stressful season, like, just understanding that you got to look at yourself holistically. It's not just your reproductive organs. And I think that's one of the things that you really were able to pinpoint. And I can see from the outside in, like, you took it seriously. Like, when I said stuff on calls and gave suggestions, you did them. Now that food took a little longer, but you did the things. You were willing to do the work, and you received, you know, feedback, and you shifted without offense. And so that's huge to invite someone in in your life to help coach and support you through your process. So I'm so happy that I was able to be a part of your story. It just makes my heart warm, and seeing your family grow is like, wow, it's so cool. So yeah, me and Cameron keep talking about we have to come visit together. Cause now I have to see the baby. But yeah, so we gotta figure that out. But thank you so much for taking the time out to share your story, to share, everything about what God has done in your life. Is there anything else that you feel like you left out, or anything you wanna say? If not, it's cool, but I just wanna make sure that I gave you space to speak.
I think the only thing that I would say is that, um, because you know, throughout even after you get pregnant and you are in the space of getting pregnant to you know birthing, that process might be difficult. Every pregnancy is going to be difficult. Mine's was, eh, I don't know. I don't really know how to rank it because I struggled a lot with um throwing up and everything like that, and then I had a lot of pain, and I went to physical therapy. Please look into physical therapy when you get pregnant, especially when you're later down in terms, because it's going to be very helpful. It's going to be super important, and you're probably gonna need some of the tips that they give you for labor. So
Mhm.
it's very important. Also, after labor, please go to physical therapy as well, because it's gonna be helpful for when you after to tighten things up and just whatever is going on. It's gonna be very helpful. And so just sometimes maybe shift your expectation. It's probably gonna be a lot of shifting during pregnancy, when you give birth, because birth is also can be chaotic. What I thought was gonna happen during birth did not happen. I went from I'm gonna do this without an epidural to getting an epidural and also needing a C-section. So at the end of the day, it was a good call that I had an epidural because I needed a C-section at the end of it. But it was an emergency section. I never wanted a C-section, and I had to I think that the unexpectedness and the way that I went about it, I'm pretty sure kind of contributed to postpartum depression and how I was feeling, and the recovery time and all of that was kind of just very depressing. So, I would say just kind of keep that in mind, because we have big expectations when you get pregnant and when you're going through labor. So, kind of just be fluid enough to know that things might shift, and to give yourself grace. It is going to be okay. It's okay to feel, upset, or it's okay to feel crappy, or just like why is this happening? Because it's natural. It's a natural part, and it's going to pass eventually. But yeah, just give yourself grace throughout the journey after you get there, because you're gonna need it, and I'm still learning to give myself grace even after in this space of being a mom.
That's really important. Yes, yes. Give yourself grace, be flexible, be ready to shift and understand things may not go exactly how you plan, but God is still ordering your steps and covering you throughout the way. So thank you for sharing that. I think that's super important. Well, everyone, thank you so much again for tuning in to another week of the Fertility Freak podcast. I appreciate your support. If you want to learn more about working with me like Aaliyah did, feel free to check out the link in the show notes so you can get started. Thank you again, Aaliyah, for taking the time out, and have a good evening.
Good night.